So Jodie Foster just won a Golden Globe for her performance in The Mauritanian, but is the overall film worth checking out this week? I'll answer that in my review. Let's get started. What's going on, you guys? James here with another Real review, and today we're talking about The Mauritanian, a film from STX Films. Guys, thank you so much to the team over there for giving me an early screener for review. The movie's out in theaters right now and also on demand. It's directed by Kevin Macdonald, who directed The Last King of Scotland, and it's starring Tahar, Rahim, Jodie Foster, and Shailene Woodley. Now, the film, if you're not familiar with it, deals with a very sensitive topic of post-9/11 actions by the US government and false imprisonment of many men and women. Now, the film itself is based on a true story, and it details exactly what happened to Mohamedou Salahi before, during, and after his time in Guantanamo Bay. He spends 14 years in Guantanamo Bay being held without a charge and fights for his freedom right alongside his lawyer, Nancy Hollander, played by Jodie Foster. Now guys, before I get into what worked and unfortunately what didn't work very well for The Mauritanian, if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I review movies like this all the time. So if you want to go ahead and join the journey, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on the bell so you'll be the first one in the comments. Speaking of comments, guys, let me know what you guys think of this film, if you're excited for this movie, and which Jodie Foster performance is your favorite. And smash that like button, guys, if you want to see more reviews like this. Alrighty, so let's hop into the positives first, right? There are some strong performances here, guys, and let me tell you, Jodie Foster and Tahar Rahim, they really carry this movie. But let's start with Jodie Foster. I can really see now why she won a Golden Globe for her role as Mohamedou's defense lawyer. She's confident, she's strong-willed, she's not willing to stand down in the face of injustice, but rather step up to the challenge of defending this man and so many others. So I felt like the story was really, in that sense, focusing on her and Mohamedou's relationship, and it worked. I really think that Jodie Foster brought everything to the table, and I'm not gonna lie, she rocks her sunglasses pretty well. But this film really is more so about her and Tahar Rahim, who actually gives another strong performance, and he was nominated for his performance here in the Golden Globes. And I can definitely see why, because he delivers the most compelling performance in this film. He, of course, had that responsibility of being in incredibly tough and unjust situations at Guantanamo Bay, but I felt like he elevated the film in its lower moments too. My favorite bits of this movie were the conversations that he had with a fellow detainee through a fence, and you don't even see this man until the very end of the film, but I really appreciated the amount of emotion, the way they carried conversation speaking in French and in English. It was just beautiful. And that's a testament to Tahar Rahim's range. He is able to go from happy, sad, distraught, angry, all in one scene. But also his co-star Shailene Woodley gives a pretty decent performance. I enjoyed her as Terry, who is the person who helps Nancy Hollander. I'm not saying much more than that in case you want to be surprised. But I do think that in the earlier moments she was given, she capitalized on them, even though the film really pulls away from her and you almost forget she's around until the very end of the film. But outside of the acting, guys, there are bright spots here when it comes to the filmmaking and decisions by director Kevin Macdonald. I loved how he played around with chronology and the way he was able to separate current moments versus flashback moments. There were times where we see the screen turn into a very small square, and that is when we, the audience, were watching flashbacks with Mohamedou's life in Guantanamo Bay before his eventual release. It added to that feeling of claustrophobia and honestly tension that we were supposed to feel in those moments, so he does accomplish that, and I feel like he also did a really good job at selecting a cinematographer that would aid in those scenes where we see him in Mauritania. I really liked the way that this film felt. The thing is, it looked good. That's not the issue. They had some strong performances in this movie, but the biggest problem in this film, guys, is what we're about to talk about next. The story itself is layered, full of emotion and gut-wrenching moments, but in the film, guys, it just fell flat one too many times. And a big reason for that is because this is all too familiar. We have seen political dramas, post-9/11 films just like this before. I mean, The Report with Adam Driver is still pretty recent, and I feel like they did a better job at detailing what detainees were going through, even though the film wasn't about a detainee. So here in The Mauritanian, I think that there was room for better execution, but unfortunately, it fell through the cracks one too many times, and I didn't really think I was connected to the story. So when we get to the third act, where it should have hit a home run, I was disconnected as an audience member. It doesn't necessarily introduce anything new to the genre, and that actually hurts the third act, which again is the weakest of the entire experience. And as much as I love Benedict Cumberbatch, he is versatile. You guys know this, I don't have to tell you, but it's his side of the story in this movie that drags this film down into the generic category. He plays prosecutor Stuart Couch, who eventually uncovers the shocking details of how the US government has treated Mohamedou, and at first I thought, okay, this is going to take some getting used to because he puts on this thick southern country accent. Sometimes his own accent kind of breaks through, but most times he is sticking with this one accent, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a little distracting, and that is both good and bad because we're supposed to not really, well, know he's acting, right? A good actor never looks like they're acting, but here you can tell that he's really trying to lay it on, guys, and I didn't really care for it. Maybe they could have cast somebody else, but hey, he does try his best in some moments, and I can't blame him for the writing errors that we'll talk about in a little bit. And it is this side of the story that introduces Zachary Levi, whom I actually think is a great actor, guys. He's not just Shazam, he can act his butt off, but in this movie, it really didn't do anything for me. It never impacted the story in a great way, so I think you could have put any other actor here and it would not have made a difference, and that's actually a problem. And that's the thing about this side of the story, guys. Nothing is very impacting, and I was left feeling completely indifferent to it all, when it should have added a lot more drama to this already compelling premise. And by the end of the film, when it should have hit a home run because most political dramas either end in a courtroom scene or they detail something that is really tragic or happy, I think here it just wasn't executed very well. And unfortunately, again, guys, I was left feeling like, okay, this is how you're ending the film? Why am I not feeling anything for this? The movie sort of runs to that finish line and does include some heartfelt testimonials and footage featuring Mohamedou himself, but by then I was already disconnected from the film. This is both a writing and a directing issue because there were way too many moments in that third act especially, where everything felt a little pedestrian. I mean, even the dialogue here was a little on the nose and definitely cringeworthy, including that torture scene where there should have been an epilepsy warning because there was a ton of flashing lights, but when you're seeing Tahar Rahim having to go through that even just as an actor, it seemed, yes, very intense, but at the same time, I didn't buy it. And that's due in part to the way it was shot, but also the script. It could have been much stronger here. So overall, you guys, The Mauritanian is one film that I can't tell you I recommend. Now, if it goes on streaming for the performances alone, you definitely should. Jodie Foster and Tahar Rahim put on a great display of acting here, but it's everything surrounding them that didn't work in this movie. The script was way too uneven, the direction here was okay, but honestly, so many areas of this movie were just not executed well. The premise itself is ripe for a layered film, one that if you're spending 2 hours with it, you should come away feeling on fire for standing up to injustice or just feeling anything. But I walked away from this movie not feeling much, and I was sad about it because usually I'm a very empathetic guy, or actually I can sympathize with most characters on screen. But I walked away from this not feeling anyway. Again, I was indifferent to the film, and that's really a shame because The Mauritanian should have left me feeling a certain way, but it didn't. So if I had to rate this movie, guys, I unfortunately would give it that 2.5 out of 5-star rating. Again, not an awful film, but it's one that'll probably be forgettable as the year goes on. Alrighty guys, well there you have it. That's my real review of The Mauritanian, again, in theaters now, or you can buy it on demand. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to check it out this week, or if you've seen it, what did you think of the movie? And if you haven't already, smash that big red button below and subscribe to the channel and tap on that bell. Got reviews this week coming for Chaos Walking, coming to America, hopefully Raya and the Last Dragon, but definitely reacting on Friday to WandaVision's finale. I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited. Guys, thank you so much for all you do. Thanks for your support, and again, I'll catch you at the next screening.